Good morning, everyone. My topic is traders, kings, and pilgrims. I am Sudhanya Chandgupta. Welcome to my channel. Trade and traders. South India was famous for gold spices, especially paper and precious stones. Paper was particularly valued in the Roman Empire, so much so that it was known as black gold. So traders carried many of these goods to the Rome in ship across the sea and by land in caravans. There must have been quite a lot of trade, and many Roman gold coins have been found in South Asia. Traders explored several sea routes. Some of these followed the coast. There were others across the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, where sailors took advantage of the monsoon winds to cross the sea more quickly. So if they wanted to reach the western coast of subcontinent from East Africa or Arabia, they choose the sail of the southwest monsoon and steady ship had to be built these long journeys. New kingdoms along the coast. The southern half of the subcontinent is marked by a long coastline and with hills, plateaus and rivers valleys. Amongst the river valleys that the Kaveri is the most fertile. Chiefs of the kings controlled river valley, the coast became rich and powerful. Sangam poems mention the Movendar each of three chiefs of two centers of power, one inland and one is coast. Of the six cities, two were very important, Puhar or Pattanam, the port of Cholas, and Madurai is the capital of Pandyas. The chiefs did not collect regular taxes, instead, they demanded and received gifts from the people. They also went to military expedition and collect tribute from the neighboring area. They kept some of wealth and distributed the rest among these supporters, including members of their family, soldiers, and poets. Many poets whose compositions are found in the Sangam collection composed poem and in praise of chiefs who often revered them with precious stones, gold, horses, elephant chariots, and fine clothes. Around 200 years later, the dynasty known as the Satavahanas became powerful in western India. The most important rules of Satavahanas was Gautamiputra Sri Shatakarni. We know about him from the inscription composed on behalf of his mother Gautami Balashwari. He and other Satavahana rules were known the Lord of Dakshinapat, literally the route leading of the south, which was also used as a name of the entire southern region. He sent his army to the eastern, western, and southern coast. The rich glossary the rich, glossy colors of the silk as well as its smooth texture make it highly valued fabric in most societies. Making silk is complicated process. Raw silk has to be extracted from the co- cocoons of silk worm, spun into thread, and then woven into clothes. Techniques making silk were first invented in China around 7,000 years ago. While the methods remain closely graduated secret of the thousands years, some people from China who went to distant lands on foot, horseback, and camels carried silk with them. The paths they followed came to be known as the Silk Route. Sometimes Chinese rulers sent gifts of silk to rulers in Iran and West Asia, and from their knowledge of silk spread further west. About 2000 years ago, wearing silk became a fashion amongst rulers and rich people in Rome. It was very expensive as it had to be brought all the way from China along dangerous roads through the mountain and desert. People living among the route often demanded payment to following traders to pass through. Some kings tried to control large portion of the route. This was because they could benefit from tax, tributes, and gifts that were brought by the traders traveling along the route. In the return often protected the traders who passed through their kingdoms from attacks by robbers. The best known of the rules who controlled the Silk Route were the Kushanas, who ruled over Central Asia and northwest India around 2000 years ago. Their two major centers of the power were Peshawar and Mathura. Takshila was also included in their kingdom. During the rule, a branch of the Silk Route extended from Central Asia down to the seaports at the mouth of the rivers Indus, from where silk was shipped westward to the Roman Empire. The Kushanas were amongst the earliest rulers of the subcontinent to issue gold coins. These were used to be traders along the Silk Route. The most famous Kushana ruler was Kanishka, who ruled around 9000 1900 years ago. He organized a Buddhist council where scholars met and discussed important matters. Ashwaghosh, the poet who composed biography of the Buddha Charit, lived in the court. Ashwaghosh and other Buddhist scholars now began writing in Sanskrit, a new form of Buddhism known as Mahayana Buddhism now developed. This had two distinct features. Earlier, the Buddhist presence was shown in sculpture by using certain signs. For instead, the attainment of the enlightenment was shown by the sculpture of the people tree. Now, statues of the Buddha were made. Many of these were made in Mathura, while others were made in Takshila. The second changes was a belief on bodhisattvas. These were supposed to the person had to attain the enlightenment. Once the attained enlightenment, however, instead to doing that, they remained in the world to teach and help other people. The worship of the Bodhisattvas became very popular and spread throughout Central Asia, China, and later Korea and Japan. Buddhism also spread western and southern India, where doesn't occur were hollowed out hills to the monks and lives in. Some of these caves were made to older kings and queens, others by merchants and farmers. These were often located near passes through the Western Ghats, roads connecting ports on the coast with cities in the Deccan ran through these passes. Pilgrims, as traders journeyed to distant lands in canvas and ships, pilgrim often travel with them are men and women to undertake journeys to holy places in order to offer worship. The best known of these Chinese Buddhist pilgrims, Fahian, who came to subcontinent about 1600 years ago. Yuan Shang, who came around 1400 years ago, and Yi Qing, that came about 50 years after Yuan Shang. They came to visit places associated with the Buddha as well as famous monasteries. Each of these pilgrims left the account of his journey. They wrote the dangers they encountered of their travels, which often took years of the country, the monsters that they visited, and books they carried back with them. Fahian began his journey back from the Bengal. He boarded a ship belonging to some merchants. They had barely traveled for 2 days when they were caught in a storm. The merchants began throwing their merchandise overboard to the as lightening the load of the ship saved the ship from the sinking. Fahian threw away his personal belongings but clung to his books and status the Buddha that he collected. Finally, the storm subsi- subsided after 13 days. This is how they describe the sea. The sea itself in boundaries, in extent, it is impossible to know east or west except by observing the sun, moon, and stars in their motions. If it is dark, rainy weather, they only plan to stay by the wind. It took him more 90 days to reach Java, where he halted for 5 months before boarding another merchant ship that took him to China. Nalanda, Yuan and other pilgrims spent time studying in Nalanda, Bihar, the most famous Buddhist monastery of the period. This is how he described it. The teachers are men of the highest ability and talent. They follow teaching of the Buddha in all sincerity. The rules of the monastery are strict and everyone has followed them. Discussions are held through the day and the old of young mutually help one, one another. Learned men from different cities come here to settle their doubts. The gatekeeper asks new entrants difficult question. They are allowed to enter only after they have been able to answer this. 7 or 8 out of every 10 are not able to answer. This is also the time of worship of certain dates with which become central features of the latter Hinduism gained in the importance. These dates include Shiva, Vishnu and goddess such as Durga. This bhakti, where worship through bhakti in the idea become is very popular. Bhakti is generally understood as a person's devotion on their chosen deity. Anybody, whether rich or poor, belonging to so-called high and low caste, man and woman, could follow the path of bhakti. The idea of bhakti is present in Bhagavad Gita, a sacred book of Hindus, which is included in Mahabharata. In the Krishna of God asked Arjuna, he devoted and friend to abandon all dreams to take refuge to him, as only he can set Arjuna free from all every evil. This form of worship gradually spread different parts of our country. Those who followed this system, bhakti emphasized devotion and individual worship of the god or goddess rather than performance to elaborate sacrifices. According to this system, to believe if a devotee worships the chosen deity with a pure heart, the deity will appear in form of which he or she may desire. So that's all for now. Thank you so much. Please subscribe my channel and keep watching. Till then, goodbye.